What mysteries lie beyond this password screen? Oh. Freedy Hardest Part 2. Yeah, Dynamic did this a lot, and I never knew why. They would have the game split into two parts, one on each side of the tape if it was one of the 8-bit micro ones, and you'd get a password for the second part after completing the first. The weird thing was, the second part was often A, much better, and B, much easier, so I'm not sure why they hid it away after the terrible first part. Anyway, I'm not going to pretend this is great or nothing, but it's certainly a big improvement. It's a fairly standard platformer. You wander around looking for fuel and passcodes to fuel up a ship and escape the planet. The end. But at least it mixes it up a little with lifts and things and whatnot, and it scrolls in both directions. My favourite bit is the little cartoony effect you get when you wander through one of those teleporter things on the bottom there. The Curse of Vulcan. Vulcan. Yet another text adventure. Although this one I do remember. I actually managed to finish this without a walkthrough back in the day, which is pretty much the only one I ever did. And playing it again, I'm actually surprised that I managed to do this, because it's one of those adventure games you have to examine every single thing. For instance, this table has a note on it, it tells you that in advance, but you have to explicitly examine the table to find the mirror that's right next to it, presumably in plain sight. Anyway, not a huge amount to say about this. Standard text adventure. Some graphics come along in a few different screens. I suspect it was knocked up using that graphics adventure creator all the way back from issue 16, I believe it was. Anyway, next. Chucks away and all that for Deep Strike. The rare World War I fighter game. And we're off. Some theoretically nice music in this. The problem is that one of the channels completely cuts out whenever you're firing your guns, making it a really weird choppy affair. Right, do not make the mistake that I did when first playing this, having not read the instructions, and shooting this guy here horribly until he dies. This is actually the bomber we're meant to be escorting to our target there. Don't be fooled by the map. If you wander anywhere apart from a straight line path, you will pretty much be shot to ribbons instantly. Also note that despite not attempting to shoot this guy up the arse again, it is very difficult not to do so. I didn't figure out a good strategy for not shooting him to ribbons half of the time. Anyway, at the bottom here we have our fuel, we have our guns, we have the health of our plane and the bomber we're escorting, which has just blown up. And I think we get 3 or 4 till we get to our target, which is a fuel dump. I completely failed to blow up the fuel dump because I'd shot down all of my own planes just before we got there. And yet the game still recorded it as a win and stuck me on the next level. I'm fairly sure war doesn't work like that. And finally, oh wow, cops and robbers. I think Psychedelic Eyeball did a video on his channel about this game a while back, and I have to largely agree with his conclusion. It has something. I mean, it's crap. Clearly it's crap. Look at this. By any objective measure, it's garbage. But there's something to it. There's enough little touches to elevate it beyond the sort of tarted up Pac-Man-esque thing it actually is. For instance, we have shootable ghosts for starters. We have to get the TNT to blow up the big ghost to get the key that will open a cupboard in a room somewhere else that will give you the combination to the safe, and so forth. Caused a minor stir back in the day because, well, you can flat out shoot policemen, which raised a few eyebrows. That was fairly blunt. Yeah, there's just enough nice little touches to keep your interest in this. Stuff like, if you do get caught by the police, you can actually go into the jail and rescue them to get your extra lives back. All in all, bafflingly playable.